like the frost on a rose. Winter comes for us all. Oh, how nature acquaints us with the nature of patience, like a seed in the snow.
So we just wrapped up the chores for today. We're gonna head in and do some planning for this coming year. We just closed up our space for this coming season's farm to table boxes for both meat and produce shares. We capped it at 40 people and we're right at 40. We're really excited and super thankful for everyone who signed up. We're very limited this year. We didn't really market to the audiences that we will in the future. Nowhere in Chicago next year. So we've kind of kept it down to friends and family back where we are in the suburbs of Chicago. And with me still having a full-time job, we're really limited on how much we can do. We want to make sure the quality's there and that we're able to deliver what we say we can. So 40 we thought was a good number. That was our goal, and we met it. So really excited. So now we move into really the planning phase, making sure we get everything ordered up and that the boxes are full each week and with good produce. So we're going to take you a little bit through that process. It's easy for us all to go to the grocery store and get your tomatoes and your corn, and you can pick up organic because it's a little bit healthy. It makes you feel good, but at the end of the day, that all goes through a really long cycle to get to your table. The stuff that you see in the grocery store is probably farmers who are farming maybe one, maybe two vegetables, just doing corn or just doing tomatoes, whereas small scale farmers like us and all of our friends, we're doing upwards of 70 to 100 different varieties. So we have to make sure each variety is really good and the quality's there, and that we understand what it takes to grow that particular vegetable with pests and different soil types and what type of fertilizer to use. All that goes into each single variety that we choose. So the part of the goal of doing all these little videos throughout the year is to show you what a year on a farm looks like and kind of those cycles that take place and how at the end of the day it gets on your table. So we look forward to kind of walking you through, starting now really, that whole process. So we'll head inside and sit down at the computer, kind of walk you through some of these spreadsheets, a little bit more of an educational piece today than kind of the other stuff we've done, a little more technical, but it's kind of interesting, especially those for you who like smart spreadsheets and numbers and data. It's all quite fascinating. So we'll keep it easy and basic, but some of you might be interested. And again, we're super thankful for everyone who signed up this year, and we're excited to have you along for this journey with the meat and with the produce. So we'll head inside.
I know, though the winter's long, even richer the harvest it brings. Though my waiting prolongs, even greater your promise for me, like a seed. I believe that my season will come. Lord, I think
computer. It's about 9:30. Kids are down. This is typically when we do these late night sessions with whether it's marketing or planning. It's kind of when we go through it. So we got our coffee, got some cookies we made last night, a little snack, and usually we'll have a bunch of music going on in our ears, zone out while we hammer through these spreadsheets. So we'll go ahead and run through this. It makes sense once you understand the formulas, how everything works together. We're really grateful. Our farm mentors, they gave us this tool that they've been using and have perfected over quite a long time. So they didn't explain it to us, they just gave it to us. So it was our job to go and really look at each cell and understand the meaning of it and how everything's related. There's multiple tabs on this showing what's in certain fields, showing what's in a greenhouse. But we're just going to go ahead and look at the kind of our master plan. It shows everything, help you understand a little bit. So there's a few basic things. We have a seed. That seed's either planted in the ground or it's planted, it's started out in a individual cell that's part of a tray. Those trays come in different sizes with different cell sizes. So you have 200 cell, which is for onions and some stuff like that, then and scallions. And then you have 128, which are for maybe some kale, spinach. And then you have 50 cell, which are kind of bigger cells. And those are for some of your larger plants like tomatoes and peppers. So we'll use this first row here, this particular onion, just to walk through a sample of how we get to getting something in the ground all the way to harvest. So we have a sow date, and that's the sowing is either putting it in dirt in the field and directly sowing it, or putting it in dirt that's in a tray, in a cell that's part of a tray. So we live in the Midwest. Almost everything we do starts out in a tray and gets transplanted once the warmer weather hits. So starting March 1st, that's when our first planting is going to happen, and it'll all be in trays inside then. So here you can see 49 days after we sow that seed into a tray, then we'll move it outside. This particular onion takes 110 days to mature completely. So that puts us we're able to pull that onion out of the ground August 7th, roughly. So we never know what's going to happen with weather, but roughly this is how we can plan out what's going to be in the boxes each week. To make sure there's not a ton of stuff one week and the following week, you got two things. It was something a little tricky last year that we ran into a few times. We were able to figure it out, but this year I think we have a much better grasp of it. So if we dive in just a little bit deeper, some things we start looking at is where these onions are going to be placed within our fields. So you don't just plant, a lot of us grew up with gardens, you just kind of plant everything wherever it goes. This is a little bit different. So we have blocks, we call them, and the blocks are located in different areas of our property. And each year, that block stays, block A stays block A, but there will be something different planted in that block every year. And then one year, there will be nothing planted there. It'll get, goes back to Bible times, biblical, that space having rest and allowing the land to heal. Why that's done is when you rotate your crops, it helps with pest control, and it also helps with soil fertility. A lot of crops drain nutrients from the soil, and there's other crops that don't pull as much. So when you rotate things, it really helps the long-term effects of your farm and your yields and the quality of the produce you're harvesting. So as we can kind of continue down this row, we know this is going to go in block A, along with all these other onions and a couple scallions. Our bed lengths are a little bit shorter just because we don't have as many shares as we will in the future. So traditionally, a bed length may be 110 feet, maybe 200 feet. We're just going to have 55-foot length beds. And then within each bed, if you think about it, there's going to be rows. So we're going to have maybe 2 rows of onions. And then within those rows, we know that in between each plant, so if 1 row in between each plant is going to be 6 inches. So that changes plant to plant. Some plants need more space. Others you can plant right on top of each other. So for this particular onion, we're going to plant the onion every 6 inches. And then in between our 2 rows is going to be 24 inches. And the reason we're at 24 inches is the cultivator we have is roughly 20 inches. So we kind of had to fudge on this and adjust our rows a little bit wider so we could get our handheld cultivator through there. Not ideal. We're wasting a little space, but to be efficient, that's what we have to do this year. Excuse me, based on how many the space within each onion and then within each row, we're able to come to our total the total length of feet that are going to be planted in onions, and it's going to be 110 total feet. So we're going to have 2 rows of this particular onion totaling 110 feet. We know we're going to harvest it August 7th. And then it comes down to the trays. We know to achieve that, we're going to need 2 trays of 200 cells. And for these onions, we had really good success with them last year, so we're just going to put 1 seed in each cell. Sometimes we'll put more. You see down here, it'll be 2 seeds per cell. Sometimes it's 7. It just depends on the type of vegetable you're planting and how you want to do it. Everyone kind of does a little bit different. So this kind of is nice. After we get this calculation, we know we're going to have basically 1 tray, 2 trays of this particular onion. We'll know exactly how many trays, if you go down this whole column, how many trays we're going to have inside at one time. And then it will give us a date that these will go outside. So this kind of goes into a different tab that says, okay, these are in a greenhouse from March 1st till April 19th. And April 19th, we're moving those things out to the field. They're going to be put in the ground. Right now, we don't have greenhouse. We do everything inside in our basement, and then move it. We have a little portable greenhouse, but next year we'll have full-fledged greenhouse, just like all the other small-scale farms do. So yeah, each week we'll go through, and out on our whiteboard we'll go on this, what's going to be put in the field, and we'll know exactly the crop and the variety, and we'll label those, and then we'll go through on our projected harvest date, and we'll say, okay, it's this week is June 7th through the 14th. Here's everything that needs to be harvested, and we'll just go right down the list and pull everything, and then we know exactly where we need to go to harvest at. Okay, we're going to go to block A to harvest these onions. We're going to go to block B to harvest this kale. So that's kind of the short of it, if you can imagine. It goes much deeper than that, but that's kind of the high level. What we have to do not only to get certified organic, but also just for our own knowledge and understanding and organization and for efficiency purposes. Yeah, hopefully you learned a little bit, and as the year progresses, and we start talking about where these plants are, and we're going to walk through seeding and all those things. You kind of understand now how that all works, and you can reference this as kind of the baseline of understanding. So thanks for your time tonight, and hope you enjoyed.